Hey, Allison.
Hello,
Allison, this is
happy launch day.
this is Jason.
Hi, Jason. Nice to meet you.
So Allison is doing all of the social and a bunch of other stuff, but she's definitely doing all your social. And Allison is so good and smart. I love it.
I appreciate that.
We can let people in, Wendy.
Okay. Here we go, Jason. Hi, Adam.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming. I really appreciate it. Let's see.
Yeah, so many amazing people.
Andrew, Brian. Oh, Martin. What time is it
Tori.
even for you? And yes.
Hey,
We're going to
Meg.
get started soon, but we're giving everyone a chance to get in.
Jen Robbins, Rachel, Nick. Oh my gosh. It's kind of like having a wedding because what you get is all these people from all these different parts of life. Becky, we can see your whole screen.
I know. I was afraid that you couldn't hear the music, and
It's
so I
okay.
stopped and started. I think we're good. We're going to get started really soon.
Oh my gosh, it's so good to see everybody.
So welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in a few moments. We have a lot of folks still coming in the room, and it's amazing to see all of you. So if you have a camera, we would invite you to turn it on. We want to see all the faces and all the joy today. My name is Becky Robinson. I'm going to be your host for the party. We would ask you to please stay muted so that we can maintain the audio integrity of this recording, but there will be multiple opportunities throughout this amazing celebration that we're going to ask you to unmute, and we hope you'll be ready to do so and make a lot of noise because this is the most exciting day for Janice and Jason Fraser with the launch of their book, Farther, Faster, Far Less Drama. So we talked for a moment earlier about whether or not these two amazing authors would need any introductions today. And I've heard that all of you already know about how awesome and amazing Janice and Jason are. But I want to just share one quick note that when you start to read this book, the ideas are going to seep into you. I find myself personally thinking about them all the time because their applications are so practical and relevant. So I'm really thrilled throughout today for you to be able to hear a bit of Jason and Janice's journey. And as we get started, we want to engage you right away in sharing your best wishes and thoughts for Jason and Janice on this amazing day. So a couple of notes about that. One is that the chat is a place that will be like a digital guest book for today's event. So throughout today's event, at any point, you can write anything in the world that you want Janice and Jason to know, and they will receive it later as an ongoing remembrance of today. And then right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to launch Mentimeter. I don't know if any of you have ever experienced Mentimeter before, but I'm going to invite you to contribute to the Mentimeter on a very special question. And the special question is, what is your greatest hope for Jason and Janice on their launch day? So you'll get an invitation through Zoom. You'll be able to join with us in just a moment as soon as I figure it out, because sometimes it's challenging. Here we go. Can you see it yet, Janice?
I see the Mentimeter link in the chat.
Aha. And I'm about to share the Mentimeter screen with all of you in just a moment. And then we're going to have you contribute on what is your greatest wish for Janice and Jason on their launch day.
So if you click open there's a link, and then I see, it says, what would you like to do? Vote. That's what you do. So you click OK on the cookie thing because they make you do that. And then
yes.
Yep. So click the open link in the chat, click the cookie, OK, and then click vote.
And can you see my screen with the question, what is your greatest wish for Jason and Janice's launch of Farther, Faster, Far Less Drama? My wish is that I would have less drama with the technology in this moment.
Nope. It's okay.
Nope. I got it.
Zoom apps, we're all, so many of us are software people, not all. So many of us are software people. We all have grace for the poor integrations that happen sometimes. Raise your hand if you've had to untangle poor integrations. Come on, there are a bunch of you here. Yes, look at
Oh
all
my
these
goodness.
people. They're all like,
Oh, I got it. I figured it out. Here we go. What is your greatest wish for Jason and Janice's launch of Farther,
Oh.
Faster, Far Less Drama? Go ahead and put those comments in. We're going to see them populate as we still have many, 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 many people coming in. So welcome to everyone who's still coming in.
and
Thank
the
you for your
music
grace,
is there.
Janice. It took me like a couple clicks.
It's all good. It's all good. And so while everyone's doing that, I want to just point out a VVVIP that is on the call today. So many of you have heard over the years about, and it's all over the book. So if you've read the book, you've heard her name a million times. Wanda Brown. She has been a mentor and advisor to Jason and I for over 20 years now. She taught me so much. Anyway, so when we're done with this part, I want to just like have everyone give a wave to Wanda, because the saddest thing is that she's retired now. So I can't say you should all hire her to mentor and coach you on your sales skills, but.
Amazing. Look at all of this. Joy, happiness, global impact, fulfillment, meaning, best-selling, no drama. I'm going to stop sharing for now, but please throughout
Millions
the
of
event.
dollars. Whoever wrote millions of dollars really does understand what's beneath this. Not really. Not really.
That's so funny. All right. So what we want to do now is take our first moment to ask you to unmute your microphone. And we want to make as much noise as we possibly can. If you have a copy of the book handy, we want you to hold it up and scream and cheer and clap as we start out this party with a lot of noise. So everybody unmute. 1, 2, 3.
Bravo, you two.
Amazing. Okay, so Janice and Jason, it's time for the two of you to be on the spotlight. Would you share with all of these friends and colleagues who have gathered why you decided to write this amazing and important book?
Jason, you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. For me, I think one of the greatest joys that I have had in my career is the moments where I see something click for a person. I used to teach martial arts, and I would see, people have those aha moments where like I give them one little adjustment and it totally changes the way they're thinking about a thing. And I've had moments in my business career as well where I've seen that happen. And really, I just want a lot more of that. And while having the book out there, obviously, I don't get to like lurk over everyone's shoulder as they're reading it. So I don't necessarily see those moments, but I believe those moments are happening. And I've had reports here and there of some of our early readers having some of those moments. And that's everything for me. I love that.
So I want this book out there because I want more leadership, like the way that all the people on this call lead. Like, I mentioned Wanda Brown, but there are so many people on this call who are literally the leaders that influenced us the most. And I feel like we're at this pivotal moment. God, I didn't say pivotal. I'm sorry, everybody from Pivotal. We're at this moment where I think that leadership needs to change. I think that the old style of, Jack Welch type leadership it's not working anymore. And we all don't like it. And it creates organizations we don't want to work in. And I think that it's time for leaders like you, people on this call, to be celebrated. And so we wanted to name what we've seen that works in an extraordinary way. And we wanted to name it so that we could all teach others to do it and do it better ourselves and do it repeatedly with a more conscious mind. So I think that's the most important thing, is that we just want more empathetic, humble leadership in the world, rather than more of this like chest pounding bravado bullshit that none of us really believe in. That's it.
Amazing. So we're going to welcome some special guests in a moment, but I want to pick up on in the chat. Martin says more branding behind you, Jason. And we were talking before we started the party just about how the tools in the book are tools that you all use in your real life, and that kind of the sticky note central behind you, Jason. Do you want to tell us about that before we welcome our special guests?
Yeah, sure. I mean, there's a big section in the book on externalize, organize, focus as a pattern that we use over and over again. And this is an example of externalization. This is my whole team that I have at Tanzu Labs. I'm up here in the corner, and these are my managers on the team. And then I have a couple of ICs who report to me. And then I have all of the reports for each of the managers. And it says where they're located, what their level is, whether they're a product manager or a designer. And I needed a place where I could have easy access to all of that. I couldn't just remember it all in my head. And so I externalized it and put it in a place where I could see it every day. And now whenever I need it, it's there.
So now the branding then I think should say, there should be a big sign that says EOF with an arrow and then the, section, what chapter EOF is.
Which chapter is it?
I don't remember which chapter it is, but I've got the book right here. Hang on, I've got the book right here.
Amazing.
I'll figure it out.
All right. So we do have a number of special guests that you've invited to contribute and speak. And I think, Janice, you're going to introduce the first guest.
Chapter 8, by the way. Oh, it's Chris Beckerman. Holy moly. So a lot of you know that for the last probably 7 years, something like this, I have been working with Procter & Gamble on a major transformation to support disruptive innovation. And there's, obviously there are, dozens of people who've been involved in that shift at P&G, but the linchpin has been Chris Beckerman. And Chris has become one of my dearest friends. And I'm so impressed with the kind of leadership that she has exhibited. Like in literally a 180-year-old company, Chris has been able to literally change how people think. And by changing how they think, change their behaviors. And I've been able to watch that whole arc of transformation from the scrappy early days to real institutionalization of some very progressive ideas. So I'm so honored that Chris brought me on her journey, and I really appreciate you being here, Chris.
Well, thanks, Janice. Can you hear me okay? 'Cause
Yes.
You're
the best.
All right. I was having lots of technical difficulties, so I'm glad I got through that. Well, I'm honored that you allowed me to join in this amazing celebration. The book is amazing. And I feel so lucky to have been able to work with you for over the last 7 years and my team, and just to have you as a coach, a mentor, a trainer, like everything to help us through this journey where we literally were innovating how we innovate at Procter & Gamble. And
in real time.
In real time. And it was the craziest journey I've ever been on in the company. It is my favorite by far. And it is the most meaningful because I really do love this company. And I wanted to be around for another 180 years. And we knew that we wouldn't if we didn't change how we innovated. And Janice was so pivotal in critical. Janice was so critical in helping us to get there. And it's reading the book as well. It's like one of the most amazing things she did was, as my little group, which is kind of a startup inside the company, doing this work, move from being 5 people to 15 people to 25 people. Janice was instrumental along that whole journey to help us figure out how to move from being a team to being an organization. Now I can't remember the name, Janice. My mind just went blank. The mapping. The outcome-oriented mapping. Sorry.
Yeah.
The
outcome-oriented road mapping. Yep.
That was one of the most pivotal points for us to be able to get from we're a team to we're an organization. We do it for people to people can do it from themselves. And when you're working in a large organization, you don't make it until people are doing it from themselves, until the vernacular has changed inside of the company. And it was a really hard journey for us to get to because we were the heroes. For the first 2 years, we were the heroes. We were the amazing people who brought these insights to people, showed them a new way in which to do their work. And it felt really good. And we had to shift my whole team personally to feel good now about other people being the hero. and about watching that. And her quote was, you have to stop going through the jungle with the machete and you need to pave the roads. And it made so much sense to everybody in my organization. And so that's how I personally was affected. But as we went through those 7 years together, we did the handshakes. We did point A, point B. She taught my entire group. She taught all of us how to be amazing facilitative leaders. And the reason I will forever be in debt to you for writing this book is I'm in a whole nother part of the company now. And I now have a roadmap to help my next organization change the way that we work. And I'm starting to use it already. So I can't thank you enough for putting down the tools that have worked over the years, putting it to paper, providing an organizational construct, because it will allow me to go even further beyond what we did in GrowthWorks, but now to affect also more big businesses in the company. So I just can't thank you enough. I want to forever always be friends. And, I'll always be calling you whenever I need help. But I just really, the growth we've had, the success we've had, couldn't have done it without you. So thank you.
You are so welcome. And I learned so much from Chris, so much.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Chris. Before we go to our next set of special guests, a question for Janice and Jason. I would love to hear you tell us a little bit about the people you wrote this book for. So Chris is one example, someone who's leading in a very large organization who can put these tools to work. So who do you think of when you think about the person who most needs this book?
Okay, I'll start. It's really for anyone who leads anywhere. So the case studies in the book come from, our kitchen table. They include, when I started the PTA, which was, by the way, harder than starting a company. It's what we find is that leaders lead wherever they go. And so, it might be, Chris in her day job, but it might be Chris in her community organization or in her family or, wherever we lead. So it's, we really believe that, it's not work-life balance, it's all just life. And so we want tools for living as leaders. That's my belief.
Amazing. All right, Jason, I think you're up to introduce our next special guests.
Yeah, so I'm so lucky to have my friends Adam and Brian here. Here's Adam, Brian right there. Awesome.
And reminder that Brian needs to jump at the half hour. So just want to be sensitive on time.
Okay, we'll have Brian go first. But I met these guys in like 2017, I think. Adam was contracting with the Air Force as a software designer, and he was on a product team that I was working on. And Brian was leading some software development teams associated with the same project. These two went on and I know Tori is here somewhere. They joined forces with Tori Cuff, who's also on the call, and several other important people, and started a thing called Kessel Run, which was the Air Force's first software factory. And it's really just been an amazing ride with these guys. I learned so much from working with them. I used to talk about how Brian would force me to be better at my job, because I'd mention a book to him and the next day he'd come in and he'd be like, okay, on page 97, it says this. And I'd be like, yeah, it does.
And then you'd go look at page 97 to see what it says.
Right. And so it's just been a joy to work with these guys and to work with, frankly, everybody in the DoD that I've worked with over the last several years. Now, Adam has founded a company called Sagely that is focused on personal and professional growth. Brian has gone off and founded a company called Rise 8 that is helping government change the way they build software. And so I'm excited to have both of these guys here. Brian, why don't we kick it off with you? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, thank you. Well, my experience working this way started with Jason, right? So Jason was like my personal coach. I often joke, Adam has said this a couple of times too, that at times it felt like Jason was our team therapist of helping us go farther, faster with especially far less drama, because we had a lot of it. But this way of working really helped me to lead in my role at Kessel Run, which became the largest and most successful software transformation in the DoD, full stop. And Jason and Janice by proxy, these ideas that they have were critical to that happening. I really mean that. I think we wouldn't have had the success we had if we didn't have these tools and techniques. And then I used these same ways of working to go on and found my own company, which I've scaled now to 8 figures, helping other people transform DoD. So these ideas, they work, they help build teams. My team is the only reason that I have a successful business. And I have a successful team because I've employed a lot of these ways of working. So as far as like specific things, there are so many things in this book that I love. And I've also gotten to do a webinar with Janice and a workshop with Jason on the book already. So I don't even know which ones I want to start with. Maybe I'll say, I love grouping ideas into 4s and 8s, rise 8. But it can be really difficult actually to come up with a grouping that includes everything that you want to include without excluding anything, and without it feeling so like forced and arbitrary. And so at the outset, I just want to say that the organization and like logical coherence of putting these 4 leadership motions together was really fantastic. It felt natural, while also bringing like novelty and impact. So I love it. I actually find myself using it. 4 is better than 8 too, because I can always use it as a
Can
frame.
remember it. Yep.
Yeah. So 8's good for like documents, but if I need something that I need to recall, like I often today, and I do it with my team, find myself recounting the 4 as a frame and holding that frame throughout conversations and things that we're doing. So reinventing the meeting was a big one for me, especially working in government. I think that's like crucial. And if you don't have time to jump in right now, just go to that chapter and read that one. If you work in like very bureaucratic organizations, figuring out a way to leverage the brains more, getting the wrong people out of the room, or perhaps including them in ways that keep you from them from being an impediment. Those were super helpful. And like, even though I've worked with you all for as long as I have, that there were some like things in there that were new to me. So I thought that was a really cool section. You bad always sticks out to me because I can still visualize the room where Jason told me that it was my bad, in a very nice Jason way, of course. But that was like actually a major turning point for me in my professional development, and I think the Kessel Run journey. So it just goes to show how impactful some of these tools in the book can be. And they're like deceivingly simple, right? You bad seems simple. Like, why hadn't I thought of that before? And why did that change the course of my career so much that I can still visualize the room and visualize Jason? Like, it's just a very real experience to me still. And I'm humbled to be included. That was one of the anecdotes in the book too. So thank you. I was humbled to be included there. And then it's worth pointing out that sometimes these well-written ideas can come across as deceivingly simple, but there's a paradox in simplicity, right? And I know all the work that it probably took. So achieving like simple efficacy is a very complex task. So kudos to both of you
I
for
like
doing
that.
it.
Achieving simple efficacy is a very complex task. Somebody write that down. I like that.
That's a topic to talk with Dan Ward about.
I was just gonna say, I think I might have like stolen or modified that from Dan somehow, but it seems like a simplicity cycle kind of thing. But I kept pausing all throughout the book, just kind of reflecting on why, like how some of these things seem so simple in retrospect after being told them, but at the same time, like I just described how Jason's work with me being a turning point in my career, like why wasn't I already doing it if it was so simple? Because these things aren't like immediately obvious as they seem after you've read them. And the way that you've put them together also is very actionable. So, they're not always obvious a priori. Implementing them takes a lot of practice. So I loved all the like practical examples, workshop breaks in the book. It's just fantastic. Not very many books do that, or at least not enough of them. It's like very action-oriented book. Because Adam will laugh at this. I can find myself, reading too much. There's another term for this, useless yet intellectually stimulating conversation, reading books for the sake of reading books and not taking action. So this is a really great break from that, like just so much action and activity built into the book. And then there's one example that I'll pull out just for those of you that haven't read it, if you haven't read it yet. Just these wild things, like how do you make these connections? There was an example of employing dialectical behavior therapy, which is a therapy used to treat borderline personality disorder. as a way for healthy people to orient honestly. And I just thought, geez, like things like this, like who comes up with that? How do you come up with that, right? It takes someone with a ton of experience, both broad and deep knowledge. And I look for people and books like that. And this book just has so many things like that, just in spades. So kudos to you for pulling in just all these amazing concepts and making it relatable. And it was great. I loved it. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Jason?
Yeah. Adam, how's it going?
Great. Thanks for having me. I think
Awesome.
before I roll in, Brian and I worked so closely, and Tori as well for so long with you. It's actually I was just thinking about as Brian was talking, it's kind of a unique skill that you have. Brian and I are very different people and approach problems very differently. All those book things you guys just talked about, I'm on the other side of whatever that spectrum is. So your ability to kind of have the same impact on both of us is a really skill, I think, to be able to kind of navigate different clients and that sort of thing. But first of all, congratulations to you both. I both know and don't know how much work it must have been to get this thing done and out there. Dan, I'm sure, empathize for sure. So great job here. Jason, you've been a great friend and coach and mentor and all around great person for God, feels like forever now for me. When I first met Jason, I had a really unique opportunity. I was working for the Air Force, and as you can imagine, the DoD is the world's largest bureaucracy, right? So there's a whole like, if you can do it there, you can do it anywhere thing. But I had like a truly immersive experience. My job shipped me from Philadelphia to San Francisco for 6 months. I didn't have to do any of the previous stuff. I was plopped in, with Jason and the Pivotal team. And I got just to just experience the way that Jason worked and thought about the world and like in practice, and just watched how he navigated his life and his tasks and things. And it was like an experience that you don't get anymore. I don't know if you'll get that again. It's just the way the world's going now. It might not exist in the same form. So it's kind of like the perfect time and space and all that. But to be able to kind of see work take place, but also have somebody with the capacity and willingness to also verbalize what he's doing, it was really clear that his goal wasn't to complete the thing. It was to make sure that I was able to complete the thing later and do it in a way that I could apply to my own context and all that sorts of thing. And it was very clear that Jason just really gave a shit about me and my trajectory and the problem we were solving and all of that. And it can come across really clearly when you're working that closely with somebody. So I often say that Jason's been a bit of a professional cheat code for me. I was able to kind of rapidly go through steps that a lot of people have to spend more time and grind their way through, because I had Jason and some other folks was able to kind of really plow through some things that are really difficult. So I owe you that. As far as the book goes, I think one thing really stood out to me. Janice and Jason, for those of you who know them, which is basically everybody here, super values oriented people. And I think that's what I felt coming through basically every page, yes, there's practices, there's processes, there's things you should do in certain scenarios, there's frameworks, but I found it to be a bit deeper than that, which wasn't very surprising coming from these two. I think that you two start before first principles. You start at values, the things that you believe in as a human being. And I think too often in our profession, people are able to separate their home life and work life, and the actions they take at work, they're able to kind of separate them and say like, oh, these don't necessarily reflect who I am as a person. And I think you guys have called bullshit on that in this book and in my time in working with you. I don't think you guys have ever wavered in ensuring that the things that you espouse are built off of these kind of human values that you share, and are not scared to tell people about and make it kind of forward in the way that you work, particularly like when you're consultants. And sometimes it's really hard to be as forward with the things you believe when you're trying to win work or win over a client or whatever. Like, you guys don't care about that. You kind of lead with that. And I think that's what makes you really good at what you do. And something that I definitely learned from you for sure. And I guess I would say, don't get me wrong, like, these are experts in the field. There are definitely great practices in here, but I think if you pay attention, you can kind of see how, again, you can draw a line from these practices all the way back to the things that they believe in as humans and people and how humans should interact, right? Frameworks are about like lessening the cognitive load and complexity of humans. And I think that that's the point. So it comes through that the frameworks aren't the point. It's the people on the other side of the frameworks that we're just trying to make work a little bit better and be more valued and that sort of thing. So This wasn't meant to be a eulogy. Feels a bit eulogy-ish. They're still around. They're going to be able to help, but I guess I would just say that like Brian, I was able to take the things that Jason in particular, you literally taught me and turn it into a company. And I try to make it values aligned. And I think that in the same ways that you were a cheat code to me in my professional life, I think it's a cheat code for companies too, in saying that you can be successful in businesses while still being a good human and a good person. And living with your values. So that's the big thing I took out from my relationships with you both and from the book. So I really appreciate that. And congratulations again.
Awesome. Thanks so much.
Thank you,
guys.
thank you, thank you.
Thanks to you both. So in a very short while, we are going to have a very special toast for this book from Matthew Holt, the publisher, Matt Holt. But first, another question for Jason and Janice. I would love for you to share with this great group your deepest hopes for what this book will do in the world. We started there at the beginning of the hour and people shared their hopes through the mentee. And what are your deepest hopes?
So, I mean, this kind of goes along with my answer to the previous question. Like, my hope is that this kind of spurs a conversation about what leadership is and what it could be, and what kind of leadership is necessary in order for us to do the work that needs to get done in this world. The world is in a little tough spot right now. And in some ways things are great. And in some ways things are really precarious. And so we have to change how we lead if we're going to get through this mess. And, whether the mess is, the threat from China, as our DoD folks really are focused on, or if the threat is climate change, or if the threat is attacks on trans people. Like, there are just a lot of threats that a lot of people are focused on, and we need to equip those people who are focused on it with new models of leadership that are going to help them be effective in this moment, in these conditions right now. So that's, I just want to be part of that conversation and maybe help spur that conversation.
Anything to add, Jason?
There are a lot of brains out there,
Yeah.
and we should use them.
Yeah.
And I think that my hope is that this book will give people insights on how best to do that, right? Because if you just put a bunch of brains in a bucket, you just have a bucket of brains that's messy. But if you know how to apply those brains, right, then you can come up with amazing solutions to really difficult problems. So, yeah.
Thank you for that, Jason. So just a quick moment to talk about the ways that you can help Jason and Janice with this important mission of fueling a new kind of leadership in the world that can address the most pressing issues of our day. And this might seem simple, but the best and most effective way to help build momentum for this book is to buy copies of the book today. The early time when a book is released, the momentum is created as more people buy the book and the algorithms love the book and show it to more readers. So even if you already were gifted a copy of the book, and I got this beautiful, amazing box with 2 copies of the book and these fun stickers in it, even if you got gifted a copy of the book, I hope you'll do what I am doing today, which is to buy a copy of the book, to have yet another one to give away to a leader who can benefit from it. And I know that Jason and Janice put together some amazing bulk order incentives so that if you want to buy the book for your organization or your team, you can enjoy some special benefits and resources from Jason and Janice. So I hope you'll check those out. If you have already bought and read or received and read the book, your Amazon review provides such important social proof so that other readers can see why they need this book. And we would like to see as many as possible within the first week, within the first month. So please, if you can, go ahead and leave that Amazon review today. Likely, if you're here, you have influence in the world with friends and colleagues. You might have an email list, a blog, or a podcast. And we would ask each and every one of you to help expand awareness of this book to your network. So whether that means sharing it on LinkedIn or sharing it in your newsletter, we hope that you will take action today to tell people about this book, and also in the weeks and months to come, because any book is an asset that can deliver value to the world for a long time. The concepts in this book are timeless and actionable and relevant. And so we hope that you will share the book with others throughout the coming days, weeks, and months. So those are just a few ways that you can support this message in gaining momentum so that our world has the the leaders in the world have the tools that they need to lead more effectively moving ahead. So go ahead and buy the book right now. And then you can come back to the party. At this point, I do want to introduce Matt Holtz, and Matt has a special toast for the book today.
Well, I don't know about a special toast. I want to say congratulations to Janice and Jason. Looking back on my notes, it's about 2 years ago when we first started chatting. I'm an old guy now. I used to be a young guy, but an old guy. I've been in publishing a long time, and I'm constantly amazed by authors that are able to create something from nothing and bring it to life. Especially as a couple. I've worked with a lot of co-authors, and they usually start out nice, and at some point there's some friction, but I'm hoping that everything is great. You are, it looks like it's separate locations, so.
He's downstairs. It's just.
Right, good. We all need our space, but I just want to say congratulations. It's a lot of work to get to this point, and a lot of times authors don't like to hear this, but this is really the starting line and not the finishing line. And it's also interesting as the book is launched that it kind of becomes less and less your book and more everybody else's book as you release it into the world. Down here in Tennessee, I feel like I'm in the bucket of brains nonsense. So we definitely need the book in this space. And I've been giving out copies and encouraging friends and colleagues and other folks to buy the book. But thank you very much and trusting us to bring your work to life. Joy as well, your agent partner.
Yeah.
And we're just very honored and excited to see the impact of this book on the world.
Awesome.
Thank you so much,
I'm
Matt.
gonna cheers you with some water.
Cheers you, and I've got my coffee. Here we go. Cheers.
So,
This is definitely a better book for having worked with you and your team and Joy, our agent. Like, this would not be the book that it is without the folks on your team that we worked with. So thank you.
thank you.
Yeah, so I want to just plus one that, from the amazing cover to the quality of the editorial team, the thoroughness of support that I've gotten, I was led to believe to not expect author support, right? And I feel very well cared for by your team, and it would not be as good a book without everything that we got by joining you on this journey. So thank you.
You are more than welcome.
And thank you for setting up, like, you can tell. So Matt used to be with a different publisher and had 20 years, and now he's got his own imprint. And you can tell that he's like, I'm going to do this the way that I wish it had been done from the start. So I just really feel like it's a high quality organization, and I'm so honored to be part of it.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And I will pass along all those kind words to my great teammates.
Excellent.
Thank you, Matt.
You're welcome.
So now we're going to shift to the part of the party where you get to speak directly to Jason and Janice. And we want to invite you to use the hand raise function, which you'll find in the bottom of your Zoom panel. And when we see your hand raised, we'll be able to call on you to speak. And, we would ask you to keep your comments brief so that we can get to as many of you as possible. I know you're all going to be wanting to talk to Jason and Janice. So it could be that you want to offer some congratulations, or you might have a question from the book. And we'll be happy to call on you if you use your hand raise function. I think also we skipped over one of our special guests, Kevin Clark. So Kevin, if you're ready, we can call on you first as others are preparing their thoughts and questions.
Yeah. Congratulations. Oh my gosh.
Yay!
When I started to work at Pivotal, I was on the periphery of this organization where you two had trained literally everybody. And I started to learn and change and grow immediately. And since getting to start to work closer with y'all, and Jason in particular, being on that manager team, I'm on that wall behind you. It's been amazing to learn all these things and live in this way of working with you over the last couple of years, as y'all have crystallized what you've done one-to-one in a way that can scale and touch the whole world. Reading the book was this wonderful experience of seeing all these things that I've gotten a chance to practice and learn and touch and teach, all laid out for everyone. a couple of folks today have talked about the phrases and the ideas and the way that a leadership idea needs to be this small, dense, potent, flexible thing. It needs to be like a poem. And this book
Hmm.
has hundreds of those littered through it that you can keep in your back pocket and produce whenever you need them. These are amazing tools. I truly believe that if we give this book to everyone we know, we ourselves will have much better existences. It's a selfish act to give this book to your friends, give this book to your enemies, everybody.
Give
You-
this book to your enemies. That's
You raise the bar for how to be people in a career, in business, in life. You make it easy to aspire to be the sort of folks that I hoped could be possible. Jason, I've said this to you before. I am not big on this book because you are my boss. You are my boss because you can write this book. It's a privilege to get to work with you.
Wow, holy shit. Thank you.
I just like, you did it. That's it. Now I'm going to cry. So thank you, Kevin. One of the things that I would like to point out is that, we had a small kind of, not folks group, but discussion group kind of folks come together when we were trying to figure out what to name this book. And Kevin was part of that. And I think it was through that I really realized how important the word humble and humility was. And it was really Kevin's sort of some of the things that he said that helped me to realize that what we were talking about was humble leadership. And so I really appreciate that insight. It helped me to see our own material differently. It was really important kind of, it was more than a moment, but it was like a really important mind shift. So yeah, thank you. Thank you for those words. Thank you for everything.
Thank you, Kevin. I'm going to call on Abel next, if you're ready, Abel. I think.
Yeah, sorry, I'm Jason, Janice, congratulations. I'm in Estonia at the moment. It's like, I think 9 p.m. here, but I want to just kind of tell you all how proud, happy I am of both of you, and how proud and happy I am that I got a chance to learn from both of you. I can't wait to write a review on the book. What I've read so far, it shows you basically all these very powerful tools. Janice, Jason, you guys are leveling the playing field for people like me and people like us who sometimes feel that everything is so overwhelming, that we can put these things to use. And definitely, like I said, equal the playing field. Sorry, I'm rambling. I've been walking all over town and it's very late here. I'm jet lagged, but congratulations. I love y'all. I'm very proud. Thank you for putting this book out.
Awesome. Thanks so
Thank you
much for
so
coming.
much.
It's
Oh
so
my
good
God.
to see you. Enjoy Tallinn. I haven't been there since 2012. I love it. It's a great city. So I hope you have fun.
Thank you.
All right. See you, Belle.
Dan, you're up.
Dan.
Janice, Jason, oh my gosh, I'm so excited for you. Major congratulations. I'm just thrilled. I know writing a book is a long, challenging process, and bravo to you both for doing the work and surviving the work. So as you know, I'm a big fan of like people writing books. I think people should do it. Hey,
That's
Jason,
Dan's book.
look,
It's so good.
plug your own book, man.
That's just one of Dan's books.
So nice of you. So again, I'm a big fan of people writing books. I think it's important work. It's generous work. I think people should write books. So I'm curious, what's something you've learned through this experience that you might pass along to some other aspiring writer who might be in this call who's thinking, I wonder if I could write a book? Anything that surprised you or anything you learned you would pass along?
If you write a book with your spouse, have a writing partner. That's the thing and we do. Her name is Sally, and she's probably lurking on this call somewhere, and she is amazing. And I love her. And she too has become a very good friend. So yes, that's how we did it, Matt, without killing each other, is that we had a writing partner. If anybody wants to write a book, hire Sally.
Yeah.
I'm just going to say that.
That was definitely huge. I think, I don't know, the book has been I feel like it's been in the making for 15 years or something. Like from the moment we started Luxor, we felt like we had something that was different. I don't know, get started. I guess one of the things that that I say to some of the people who report to me when we're talking about the project that we're working on or things like that, I'll sometimes ask them, if you were going to write an experience report on this project, what would you be doing differently today to make sure that that was the most amazing experience report that anybody had ever read? Like, how would you change the way that you are working on this project right now? And I think maybe I would start with that prompt, maybe alter it a little bit. Like, if you were to write a book about the work that you're doing here, what would you change about the work that you're doing to make sure that it's a really good book? Yeah.
I actually would, at some point in the future, I will ask Sally we'll do a retro on it, the three of us. And we'll say, like, once we got it all dialed in, the process of writing worked pretty well, but it took a long time to get it dialed in. And I know that it was frustrating for all of us. And so there's that. So retro. And then the other thing is, it turns out that there really is 6 months of marketing work to do before launch day. I have been running my tail off for the last 3 months. So I apologize to everybody I owe emails to, and everybody that I've been disregarding, including Rachel Kahn, who I see is right here. I haven't given her any attention, even though I'm an advisor to her company. So it really, there's a lot more work at every stage than you think there is. And so I'm assuming that is going to be true in the next 3 months as well. So, take each quarter as it comes and yeah. And also you'll be fine. It'll be fine. It's all fine.
All right, Rachel, you're up.
Oh man, Janice, for you to end on that note. Okay, I'm trying not to get emotional here. I just have to, first, it was just so cool to open up this Zoom and then see so many of the wonderful people that I've gotten to meet through you for the last few years, and the community that's become really special. But especially seeing Sam on this call, because he introduced us, I think, now 4 years ago, and his reaction was just like, you just have to meet Janice, you just have to meet her. And it was just the coolest thing to meet you, because I didn't know that you had been such an influence on my life for so many years. And it was the craziest thing that I had never met you. And I know we've pulled this apart in several meetings and all sorts of things like that, but I've seen pieces of both of your work for so many years, and had just seen it throughout so many places. And I would repeat it back to you, and you're like, actually, Rachel, that's, something I worked on. And I can't tell you how many times that happened. And every time, I know people on the call don't know me, but Janice has been here since my company was just me, and has helped it grow to 20 people today, and bootstrapped, and just it would never be here without Janice's advice and without Jason's sneaking advice in the backgrounds as well. And I've just walked away from all of our calls being like, man, I wish I could just share this advice on another level with all the people that I know that are having these struggles and these issues. And I'm just so excited to have this book, because it's so many of the pieces that I've treasured throughout our calls, really truly given in a gift in such a way that I can share it with all these people, and with all of your everything mindfully put together. And I'm so excited to give it to our organization, and to share it with our customers, and do all these different things with it. So I'm just so excited and so proud of you guys that we can really, really share all of the incredible work that you've done that has gotten us this far. And I can't imagine the impact that it's going to have to other people.
Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you so much, Rachel. So while I wait to see if there's anyone else who wants to ask a question or share their congratulations, I want to encourage everyone, if you've been looking at the speaker view, just take a moment and toggle to the gallery view, just for a glimpse at the amazing support community that has joined together. You're going to have to scroll twice to see all of the names and faces of the people who have come out today to support this book, which is just amazing. So thank you to all of you who are showing that you believe in the importance of this new kind of leadership in the world. So So you may want to go back to the speaker view so you can see our stars, Janice and Jason. So we do have a few more minutes if anyone else would like to speak, but I want to remind you quickly of a few ways that you can support this book. And I forgot to tell you before that 1 month from today on May 11th, Janice has a very special live stream of a squat challenge. And Janice, can you tell us what the squat challenge is all about?
Okay, so here's the thing. I have this goal to be healthier at 60 than I am today at 57. So a year ago, or not quite a year ago, I started to lift weights. I've been working very much on my physical health, my physical well-being, using very much the frameworks in the book, point A, point B thinking. My outcome-oriented objective is to be healthier at 60 than I was at 57, actually. And so I, on kind of as a joke, and then it became serious, said to my personal trainer that I would do 1 squat for every review that is posted on Amazon 30 days after my after pub day. So that's May 11. And I go to this like feminist gym right around the corner. And it's like, you know, all pink, all women, like no mirrors. It's an amazing place where I get to feel strong and healthy. And so I'm going to do 1 squat for every Amazon review. So the most squats I've ever done at once is 120. And I did that a couple months ago. And so I want to challenge myself to see if we can get, let's say, over 100 reviews posted on Amazon. There's like some magic number, like that makes the Amazon algorithm love your book. And it's something like 100 reviews, or maybe it's 50. I don't know. But I decided that I would do, and it's going to be ugly. I will probably swear. It will be funny. We'll have people there. So like and if I can figure out how to know who wrote what on Amazon, I will shout out your name as I'm squatting, and we'll just see how ridiculous we can make it. So, you know, humiliate me, like, you know, get all your friends to post. Like, I don't know what I'll do if we have 150 or 200 reviews. That would be a nice high class problem to have. So that's the squat challenge. Yeah, it'll be fun. It'll be stupid and fun.
Amazing. So a quick reminder about a few ways to keep the momentum going for this important message. Buy the book today, buy 1, buy 5, buy 10, buy 20, buy 50. And
if
get
you
those
buy
into
50,
the
I
hands
can
of
get you a good
leaders.
deal. If you get 50, I can get you a good deal.
Amazing. And yes, definitely contact Janice to find out about bulk pricing and incentives. Leave those reviews so that Janice can make it really fun on May 11th with the squat challenge. And think of the most creative and impactful ways that you can share this book with your colleagues and friends. And we appreciate all the support that you're going to bring over the next days, weeks, and months. And I'm going to call on Michelle.
Hi, everybody. I'm so thrilled for the both of you. I'm so like, my heart is racing. I'm watching all of this excitement happening, and it's just, oh, I know it's been such a labor, and it's so great to see this out in the world. It's so nice to see lots of familiar faces too. I just wanted to say, like, meeting the both of you has changed my brain chemistry in the most fundamental ways possible. And, you know, we met, I don't know when it was, like 2016 or whenever. And, you know, I'm not the same person I was then, but in so many ways, because of knowing the both of you, because of the way that you lead, because of the way that you speak, the way that you write. And one of the things that I love about what you've incorporated in the book is how you honor the experiences of everybody around you. And that's something that doesn't come up. Like, most business books are like, meh, meh, meh. And I know that we've talked about this in the past, like the reason for this book is for something that's so fundamentally different, that's needed. And the way that you honor the relationships, the ideas, the people behind them, it's so incredible. And that's like, I go through this book over and over again, and I'm like, this is the thing, there's so much respect. And I have the utmost amount of respect for the both of you. So lots of love. Can't wait to do all of the reviews and buying the bulk and everything else. It's so good.
Thank you.
So quick question in the chat from Meg, and Janice, I'm sure that you do. We have blurbs, logos, graphics that people can use on social media. Meg is asking to get a hold of those so that she can share them. So there may be others of you who want the same thing.
Yes, Becky, can you help me figure out the right way to distribute that?
Sure, probably like we can set up a Google folder and drop some assets in, and then when we send the follow-up from this event out to everybody, we can include a link to all of those assets for you.
Great. Great.
Okay, perfect. All right, so what we would like to do now is we would like to kick it back to you, Janice and Jason, for some wrap-up thoughts. I think you're going to share some quotes and readings from the book with us as we come to the end of this special hour.
Oh, quotes and readings from the book. Okay. So my favorite quote from the book is on page 11. Let's see. Okay, it goes like this. The idea that we will have a business job for decades, where we will work our way up until we reach our ideal level, simply doesn't apply to most people. So we no longer believe in work-life balance. It's all just life. And we need to know it's a life that we want to live, filled with security, confidence, love, and meaning. The idea that we turn off life when we turn on work is outmoded. What happens to us at work, the choices we make at work, how we lead at work, all of this impacts our micro and macro quality of life and the nature of the world we live in. That's my favorite piece from the book. And I think that it's a lot of us, when we go through life, we just want to be seen and validated. And what I'm getting out of this experience here today and hearing what you all have taken away from your relationships with us is that Jason and I have managed to live a life with integrity, where our values are actually mirrored in our actions because we're hearing you say the things about us that we hope are true about us. And it's very rare that you get a chance to see that what you hope you put out into the world actually does get out into the world. And so I want to thank you, Becky, for putting this together. I want to thank everybody for being here and everyone who's spoken, because you've made me feel really seen and validated and understood. And I can say that it is a life worth living that I have, and it has been beyond my wildest dreams. And that comes because of relationships, not because of material possessions, not because of the millions of dollars that, Silicon Valley wants us to aspire to. It's because we have love and we have heart in our work and in our home. And so that's my bit. So thank you all.
Yeah, it's hard to top that. I mean, +1, all of that. Like you mentioned that we have a life that is beyond our expectations, and like so far beyond my expectations, I can't even fathom it. I think I didn't actually come prepared with a quote from the book, but now that you mention it, Becky, there is a part of the book that I particularly like, and it starts on page 45. The chapter is called "Your Pants Are on Fire," and it's the chapter about how we lie to ourselves, and sometimes we lie to ourselves accidentally, and sometimes we lie to ourselves more deliberately than we might think. But there's a bit in here that says, a very common way that we lie to ourselves is to believe that we already know everything we need to know. And I think that this is really about humility. It's about kind of stepping back and understanding that we might not already know everything that we need to know in order to move forward. But, and I'm quoting again here, having all the answers has been rewarded so often and so completely that we've learned to overlook important questions and plow ahead with pseudo-confidence. And I think that we end up tripping on our shoelaces when we do that. So I feel like an important message that I would like people to take away from this book is recognizing that that they might not know everything that they need to know, and that there's no shame in not knowing everything that they need to know, and that's why we are surrounded with all the other brains, right? Is because collectively, together, we have better odds of knowing everything that we need to know. But as an individual, it's just way too much pressure, and you don't need to put yourself under that much pressure, and you shouldn't let anybody else put you under that pressure either. So that's my quote.
So thank you everyone for joining this celebration. We're going to stop the recording, but we are going to leave the line open. So if you didn't have a chance to speak with Jason and Janice, or you'd like to unmute or ask a question once the recording has concluded, we'll keep this room open for a little bit longer. And what my hope is that the joy of this moment, Jason and Janice, will propel you to continue sharing this message with the leaders who desperately need it.